All right. I am so excited for another interview for my Forget Perfect Leadership newsletter. And today's guest is Cliff Wilson. Cliff is the CEO of Georgetown Hospital and the market president of LifePoint Health's Central Kentucky Hospitals. So, Cliff, I'm so excited to have you here.
Vitaly, it's great to be with you. I really appreciate the invite.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So, let's start off the interview by you telling me a little bit about yourself and your leadership journey.
Yeah, so as you said, I'm been with LifePoint Health for 13 years now, and I've been in Central Kentucky for almost two and a half. And I have been in this is my fourth state now, so I've kind of moved. I tell
Yeah.
people I've done an SEC tour. I've been in Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and now Kentucky. And it's just been an incredible journey. And I have a unique background, a unique story. I started my professional career actually in the rental car business with Hertz Rent a Car, and one of my customers convinced me to get into healthcare. That kind of started my journey into healthcare and leadership. But I go back prior to that, and I think about my childhood and even all of my especially high school activities. And I always was kind of naturally gravitated towards leadership. Served in various organizations and always was an officer. Just aspired to be a leader, if you will. And so, I mean, I was in preparation for today. I was thinking about reflecting a lot of going all the way back. I don't think we do that enough sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe we reflect in the last 2 or 3 or 5 years, but to go way back is good to do sometimes. So it's thank you for that opportunity, indirect of this. But yeah, so that's kind of been my journey. Primarily has been a healthcare leader. And I'm not a clinician, a business background, but I tell people all the time, and I'm very passionate about it. I believe that what we do in healthcare is mission work, no matter what role you do
Yeah.
in healthcare. Just a quick aside: when I first was approached by the individual when I worked in rent a car to come to healthcare, I was so naive to even realize that there were jobs in healthcare for people that didn't actually perform clinical
Right.
services. So yeah, that's my journey, and I
I
love it.
love that. I love that. So tell me how you would define leadership or what leadership means to you.
I hate to be a little cliche, but I think that leadership is really the ability to lead, create influence in others, or and or in organizations, setting a vision. And I think that is, to me, that is what leadership is. And I tell people all the time, it's easy to be a leader when you're out accepting awards, or you're launching a new service line, or all the fun stuff, if you will, right? But really, leadership is hard when you have to do the tough stuff. And I think that, to me, is a lot of what differentiates folks, where they might have an aspiration to be a leader. And it's exciting, and we all love those moments when we get to do all the exciting things, or someone's moving up in the organization. But you have to deal with the tough stuff in leadership, and people are depending on you and your decision making ability. That is really what kind of separates leadership, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. What are your core values that guide you as a leader?
Yeah, great question. And I think that, gosh, there's so many core values, right? But I think for me, and I've always been really consistent in my brand, it's really who I am. And I try to put everything through a lens of integrity, accountability, uh, honesty, and respect. I think that, when you're dealing with tough decisions or tough things, especially people dynamics, respect is always really important, and I
Right.
I always keep that front and center in decision making, especially.
Well, and that's one of the things I love about you, and just what I've heard as I've, worked alongside your leadership team for the past 2 years is just your ability. I think that's what allows you to be direct and for people to respect that from you is because you're being direct with them out of kindness and respect for them. And that whole idea that, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. And I just think you do a really great job of that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And that's what the feedback that I've gotten too.
Oh,
Uh,
good.
what do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions about leadership?
Oh gosh, I would say that it's the same as management.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of folks think that, I'm in leadership, I'm gonna manage people or manage things. And, and again, I've been very blessed in my career and have participated in a few different things like what we're doing today.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm presenting at a high school group or some other organization. And I always say that it's anybody can kind of manage a process, or we need to get A, B, C, and D done. What's the best way to organize that?
Right.
Or whatever may be unique to that particular business. But that, I think, is a big misconception. Leadership is an entirely different skill set, an entirely different ability. Um, and yes, are there elements of both? If you're a leader, you're probably managing some things too, maybe a lot of things, like in my situation. But I would say, when I get asked a lot, whether it's on an airplane and the person sitting next to me or whatever, what is that like? What is being a hospital? A lot of what I do is, I would say, falls under the leadership definition. It's about developing others, developing a team, creating a vision, thinking 3, 4, 5 years down the road for the
Right.
organization. Where management, you might be more, if you're just a manager, and some people are really good managers, and maybe they have some opportunities to really differentiate themselves by expanding their leadership skill sets. So I would say, by far, in my opinion, but the point I was getting to is, you could ask 100 different people like me, and anytime you have a conversation about leadership, it's all subject to kind of personal opinion too. But so, in my opinion, it is that is a big misconception.
Yeah. Um, how do you manage? We're in a time, we're talking even before I hit record of just, time has really, sped up. Things are moving faster than ever. Expectations are, I think, higher and faster than ever. And so how do you manage stress while also maintaining your well-being in your role?
Well, one of the things that we might get to later in the conversation, I'll just put it out there now. I am so, like, transparent. I mean, I'll just tell you, like, that's been a weakness for me over the
Yeah.
years. I've not done a very good job with that. And I think, sometimes it becomes that moment where it's like, practice what you preach a little bit,
Yeah.
because we do talk a lot about that. And I think it's important. And I don't know. I think maybe sometimes I'm more concerned about my team or my staff, making sure they have balance, they get personal resilience. That we tend to forget about ourselves. A wise person that I know, always kind of says, it's like, it's like the cup. You got to, if nobody's filling up, you're always spending all your energy filling other people's cups, and you're not filling your own cup back. That won't work. But so I've really challenged myself, Vitaly, to improve that. And quite honestly, and this is genuine, not just because I'm talking to you right now, but in the work that we've done with you actually have been a little bit of a, inspiration, and listening to some of your messages around prioritizing that differently. And I can remember coming into late last year thinking, I'm going to really make some dedicated effort and be intentional. I'm always so intentional with everything else that I do, right? I've got to be intentional about that. And I've really done a lot of work around that. So for me, I have an amazing girlfriend, and I just love spending time, and really, you know, setting things in, right? Vitaly word, we're
Yeah.
highly scheduled.
Yeah.
I make sure that I dedicate and be very intentional, no different than scheduling a meeting to talk about a new deal or a new concept, that I need to go home at 4 o'clock today, or
Right.
whatever the case may be. And then I've also, in addition to just really good family time, if you will, is the physical activity. And
Right.
you and I were talking about this 2 weeks ago at our last session. Um, was doing really good about 2 days a week getting out
Right.
and walking, but I need to take that to like 4 or 5,
Right.
and how do I get to that next level? So for me, it's making sure I'm physically active and staying healthy, but it's also a great stress relief, right? As you know, just to get out and clear your thoughts a little bit. So that's how I would say I'm working on balancing it.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I'm in the same spot as you. I used to be someone who worked out a lot, probably too much, and it actually consumed a lot of my time. And
Yeah,
so when I got pregnant and I stopped working out, I actually felt like I got so much of my time back. And so now I'm in a place of like I need to get back into it for my stress and well-being, but also like I love the time extra time that I have. So I'm even having that kind of internal conflict with myself, but I know for strategic thinking,
yeah,
stress relief, I definitely need it.
absolutely.
So you work in healthcare, obviously.
Yeah.
And what do you think are some of the most critical skills right now for healthcare leaders?
I would say being innovative, innovative and adaptable. And again, we adaptability has probably been a buzzword for the last 10 years, but I think that everything is so ever changing right now. Even we were talking before the camera, about AI and things like that, and
Yeah,
I think that that's going to become part of what it takes to be really a really effective leader is again, and that also helps the time balance too. Maybe with
right,
some of these new technologies, maybe that does give some time back because we're able to use that technology. No different than back in the day when we started being able to
yeah,
schedule meetings on our phone or send a text instead of type in an email or whatever. So I think that's going to be, folks are going to have to be adaptable because the world is going to be ever changing faster than probably it's ever been. And then innovative. I think everybody, no matter what organization you're in or what you're doing, innovation is going to really set others apart, if you will.
yeah, most definitely. So what do you think is in the way of people's ability to really lean into innovation and adaptability? I know those are obviously two different things. What do you think gets in our way?
It's probably a lot of the change factor, right? Nobody
Yeah,
really wants to change. We've done it this way, or it could be just the uncertainty of everything is changing so fast. Is this just the fad of the week, and
right,
something different will come around next year? And I think that we're naturally, as people, we tend to be a little skeptical of new things that come up, but or like a lot of folks, what do they say? Don't mess with a good thing. So
right,
you may hesitate on some new innovation or new idea because it's like we don't want to mess up what's going well. But
right.
really, it could it could be a game changer if you just started that conversation.
Yeah, yeah. And I think too, like as it relates to like what gets in the way for innovation is a lot of oftentimes um, some of the things that we've talked about with perfectionism, right? Just that kind of fear of failure, fear of making a mistake, fear of doing it wrong, which I think coincides with the adaptability, right? Well, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we got our routine down with what we're currently doing. Now I got to get outside my comfort zone again
Right.
and do something new. So
Yeah.
I think those factors can be at play too.
Agree.
So, where do you find inspiration for you as a leader, new ideas? How do you get inspired?
Well, from others, honestly, I get a lot of, I think about, things that inspired me along the way, even going way back to when I was a child, just I think about my time. I grew up on a farm and, that kind of exposed me to a lot of things, responsibility, work ethic, discipline. Um, Certainly became an inspiration. My father and my grandfather on, they both had entrepreneurial spirit. It really was kind of the foundation of who I am in a lot of ways. But fast forward to kind of present day, and what I think that's something, that gets back to that adaptability and innovation. Really, as leaders, we have to be constantly seeking feedback, and I think we have to embrace that and welcome that and create the environment that folks know that we want to hear it. I think there's sometimes a hesitancy on, oh, well, he's the CEO, he doesn't need my idea, or you know what I
Right.
mean.
Yeah.
And it's on us as leaders to create that kind of appropriate vulnerability to where folks feel comfortable and they know, well, Cliff wants to hear that, even if we can't do it
Right.
or whatever, like he wants to hear about it. So I find a lot of inspiration in just listening to, and not just from like my executive team or director team, but all the way down the line to frontline staff. I think some of the greatest ideas come from within. And
Right.
I was there. You might have seen it. There's been some recent stories in the last week or two about the Post-it note. Because it's produced right
Yeah.
here in Cynthiana, Kentucky, and that the Post-it note was an idea of an employee, that was trying to solve a problem. That needed a Post-it note, and
Right.
create, and I mean, the rest is history, as they say. So I think you have to listen to frontline staff, and that to me, not only do I find inspiration in it, you just really are able to build solid relationships with folks, and earn that trust even more.
Yeah, I love that. I love you brought the Post-it note as I stare at my stack of Post-its over here. I don't know. I don't know what I would do
I
without
know.
that.
Cynthiana, Kentucky is where they
I
make
know.
every one in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what also is in Cynthiana, Kentucky? Where the hard hat was
The
found.
hard hat.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's, who knew? Who
Who
knew?
knew? I know.
Um, so one of the things, like in terms of what our work together, one for the listeners, we've been able to do
Yeah.
quarterly trainings with the people leader team. What have been some of your like favorite takeaways or topics? I know communication's always an important topic for you, but what have been some of your favorite things that we've covered? We talked about trust and
Yeah.
overcoming perfectionism and resilience.
Yeah. I think, and it's been, gosh, I guess almost 2 years now. I think
Yeah.
we've been working with you, and
Yeah.
um, I know from me, my executive team, our teams really enjoy it. They look forward to it. We've got, they come up to me one off, and months later and say, I really, what I learned at that session with Vitaly has helped me in my career, or whatever the case may be. I think, the work that you do around emotional intelligence
Yeah.
is spot on. And I know a lot of people really enjoyed that. Of course, crucial conversations,
Yeah.
all of, your brand, what are your
Yeah.
core values? What's important to you? Who are you, so to
Yeah.
speak? What guides you? Yeah, I mean, it has truly been tremendous. And as I said a minute ago, I mean, it's even, your programs have, I think differently about things from the work that we do with you, and we're super excited about it. And I know you've impacted a lot of lives in our market, a lot of leaders, with just little, some things they can put in their toolbox
Yeah.
and work on. So, yeah,
It's been really, really fun and just a privilege. You all are, it's been really, really fun. So
good,
I enjoy it. I'm
good.
looking forward to next
We
year.
we consider you part of our team.
Yeah,
So,
I do too. I do too. Um, what's one piece of advice you would give to up and coming leaders?
oh, I would say be bold.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to get outside your comfort zone.
Okay.
I think a lot of times leaders, future leaders, or aspiring leaders, or even folks that are in a leadership role, but they really could get to a different level of expanding their leadership skill set, is that hesitation to get outside their comfort zone. That
Right.
we naturally kind of want to do what we're good at, and and I'll give you a prime example. For me, going from rental car to healthcare, I was I'm like, I don't want to start over that, and
Yeah.
learn a new industry. And I think you have to be willing to get outside your comfort zone, and do those things. And then also, um, you're gonna fail. Things are gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I always say fail fast and move on, and learn, adapt, and but that would be my advice, is be bold, um, get outside your comfort zone and fail fast and learn from it. So
I love that, Cliff. I think that's a great way to end our interview. So I just want to thank you so much for your time today.
yeah,
I can't wait for everyone to be able to experience this. So thank you so, so much.
I appreciate it, Vitaly. Thank you all.
Ah.